Good morning. So how do I actually go about changing habits? That was a question that we went through the other day in a Q&A, but I want to touch on this in a bit more detail again today, because changing habits is something that most people just feel like they can't do. We say things like, it's the way I am, I'm not sure I'll be able to do it, I won't be able to stick to it, it's new, it's inconvenient, it's different, doesn't feel comfortable. And these are all really normal things. Why? Because morning, Joss. Because we do these habits because we actually crave familiarity. We crave predictability. If you think about everything in life, everyone wants to know, how long does it take to get there? How many miles have I got left in the tank before I need to fill up? What's the traffic like? What's this? What's that? Everyone wants familiarity, me included, of course. Hey, Linda. So when you think about these habits, we're actually addicted and craving predictability rather than the thing itself. And if we think about this, so yesterday I had a chat with someone just on their kickstart to their first session, and they said, is it normal to kind of sometimes get a little bit upset actually? And I was like, it is normal, because most of stuff is actually subconscious, to the extent where we just kind of don't really want to be with our thoughts. Now, what I mean by this is we'll just distract ourselves from these questions, like where we are right now, what we do right now, all these habits that we currently do that we might just think are quite part of us, the way we are, but actually there's a lot of impact with them when we write them down. Now, this is the first part of actually changing a habit. So number one is actually getting aware of where you are right now. So conscious of it that it can be uncomfortable short term, but so conscious of it that you're actually less likely to be conscious of it again. Because if you avoid actually being aware of this, you'll probably just keep doing it. And know that once you get aware of this sounds a bit long-winded. Once you get aware of this habit, when you get the craving for familiarity again and predictability, you can then tackle it a little bit differently. So if we put this in the context of, let's say I had a chat with someone the other day about they're trying to drink less during the week, essentially. And we were talking about it, and we chatted about how you always crave stuff that you're familiar with, right? And research is quite clear on this. You never crave really new stuff. You often crave the stuff that you've always done, because really we're craving that familiarity, predictability. And the reason this is so powerful is next time you get a craving, just think, is it because I'm trying to change something? And that's completely normal. So am I craving the thing, or am I craving predictability to get rid of the feeling, which is quite uncomfortable, which is linked to change? And I'll be honest, I'm doing some training at the moment which is different. Sometimes I'm thinking, do I really want to do this? Do I really not? But actually that's a good thing. That is a sign that I'm about to change, that slight uncomfortableness. But there's a reason we want to change anyway, right? So it's hard anyway, so we might as well choose the hard that gets the results we want. Now, the second part of this, we've got to consider that 90% of our thoughts are literally the same today as they were yesterday, unless we change something about that. 90% of our thoughts, 90% of our actions lead to the way we feel. So there are consequences to these in terms of what we're feeding in for ourselves each day. So number one is to get self-aware of what we actually do day by day. And that's the first step that we actually do. Where are we actually at right now? What do we do? Describe this habit that you want to change. What's different if you change this habit today? So here's some questions for you right now. Number one, how does your current habit? Well, let's make a list of all your habits. Number one, don't even judge them. Like, these could be good, some could be bad. So number one, make a list of all the habits that you currently have. Now pick one of them that you want to break. Pick one of them that you want to break. And now we've got to look at the future you. Who would you be? What would you do if you didn't do this habit? What would be different? Who would benefit and why? And now, when you think about breaking this habit, and now I want you to write down those benefits and check in with them every day. Because it's easier to remind yourself of your past self, aka what you do, those little habits every day, because 90% of our thoughts today are the same thoughts we had yesterday, than it is to remind yourself of future you, aka the one who gets rid of that habit that you want to get rid of. And finally, number 3, write down what happens 5 years from now if you don't get a hand on this habit. And this is to put your attention on the fact that there's only so many tomorrows before we just go, actually tomorrow is now a little bit harder. My knees are a bit worse, my hips are a bit worse. It's getting close to the actual date that I need to be fit enough for it, in my case. And there's only so many tomorrows before you think, I'm not actually ready. Tomorrow's now harder. I wish I started earlier when tomorrow's easier, but you're always going to have that dilemma, so the easiest place to start is now. So recap on there. Number 1, write down all of your current habits. No judgment, good or bad. Pick one that you want to kind of break right now. And now write down what would be different. What would be different if you did break that habit? Who would you be? What would you do differently? Who else would benefit? And make a note of them things somewhere that you see every day. This is benefits cards, cognitive behavior therapy, to remind yourself of your future self. Because like I said, pretty much 90% of your thoughts today will be the same as the ones you had yesterday. I know that when you have that change, when you're faced with change and trying to change, you will crave predictability, you will crave sameness. And the problem with that is when you're changing a habit, things change. So you're not going to have as much predictability, so you'll crave the things that you used to do because you know how they end up. Whether that's having a glass of wine with dinner, nothing wrong with that, but if that's a habit you want to change, you might crave that. Craving staying in bed for longer when you're trying to get up earlier for a workout, all of these things. So I hope that helps. Any questions, do let me know. Hey Gisela, hey Pauline, hope you're all good. Have an awesome day. If you want more information about our Kickstart, we start in June, by the way, which is today. It's today, yeah. So we start flexible start date this week and next week. Obviously some people unable to fit in now with the Jubilee weekend. So have a good one, and I'll see you soon. Take